Whenever I say Webster's slope definition, what I'm talking about is the steepness of a line. Yes? If I'm talking about the steepness of a line, what that means is how the slant, is it really, really steep, or is it something that's rather flat that I can walk on? Okay? There are 4 different types of slopes. That's today's what we're going to be dealing with, is trying to learn those 4 different slopes. Rise of a run. Rise of a run is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. Okay? Change in the y values over the change in the x values. This is your graphical definition. Your algebraic definition. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Given the point x1, y1 and x2, y2. Okay? You need to know the difference between these 2 things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Steps. Calculating slope. Label the points. Step 2, write the formula. Step 3, plug and chalk. And step 4, reduce all fractions. We ready? Example. Step 1. X1, Y1, X2, Y2.
That minus?
It's an and. Step 2.
Y.
Step 3.
Did you ever switch them to like put X on top?
Okay, you cannot put the X's on top and put the Y's on the bottom. That's an absolute no. Okay? But what you can do is put Y1 minus X or minus Y2 over X1 minus X2. Okay? You have to put the 1s over the 1s and the 2s over the 2s. But I prefer that you keep and use this formula. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent.
Okay.
Now, step 3. Y2 is negative 6, Y1 is 4, X2 is 1, and X2 is 1 and X1 is negative 2. Now, when you have 2 lines back to back, like we have here, what can you change those into? I'm sorry? Into plus plus. Does everybody see that? So what is negative 6 minus 4?
-2.
You owe me $6, you owe him $4.
Oh, -9.
Negative 10. And 1 plus 2 is 3.
Wait, I think plus 2.
Minus a negative is a positive.
That person is 1.
It was 1 minus negative 2.
1.
A negative minus a negative is a positive.
Where's the other negative?
This was the negative, and I was subtracting it,
Alright.
which makes it 1 plus 2. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have this as my answer. Now, I am the type of teacher that is very literal whenever I do definitions. Stay in class for me.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, I'm very literal whenever I talk about my definitions. If I say rise over run, whenever they say please rise for the singing of the national anthem, what do?
Stand up.
You stand up. What does bread do in the oven? It rises, so what direction does it go? Up. Now, I know some of your math teachers allowed you to go up and down, right? I think that is what confuses a whole lot of people whenever they are doing slope. So I'm going to be consistent as much as I possibly can. I'm always going to rise, and I'm always going to go up. Do you all understand me? If I say run, which direction can you run?
Forward.
Left to right. Forward, whatever, obviously. But I'm saying up, down, left, right. You can't run up. You can't run down. You can go up and down stairs that have been made to go up and down, but in a direction, if you're out in the field, can you run up? No, if the field's flat, you cannot run up. You run left or right. Does everybody understand that? Okay? Now, with that said, if I have this graphical definition of rise over run, and my slope is a negative 10 over 3. Where should I put my negative? With my 10 or with my 3? 10 would indicate that I'm going down. Can we ever rise down? No. So you're going to put your negative with the 3, which would imply that I'm rising 10 units up, and I'm going to run to the left 3 units. Why am I running to the left?
Negative.
Because all the numbers to the left of 0 are negative, and my slope is negative, so I have to go to the left. Do we understand that? If I want to go to the right, what does my slope have to be? Positive. Do we all understand the difference between left and right and why we always rise?
What? Like, so there can never be a negative numerator?
I'm going to always ask you to put the negative in the denominator, because we're going to use the literal definition of rise over run. That way nobody's confused, and you always go up, and if it's positive, you go to the right, and if it's negative, you go to the left. Does that make sense? Okay? Example, next one.
Would that mean that the slope is always, would that mean that the slope's always negative though? Or if you go up, wait, that means it's I'm thinking opposite.
I'm going to show you graphically here in a moment.
I know what you mean. So,
Step 1, what do I do?
Under,
Label. You label. So this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. Step 2. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
you always have to write down our homework.
I want you to write the formula today, and the reason why I want you to write the formula is because the more you write a formula, the more it commits to memory. Does that make sense?
yeah.
The less you write it down, the less you're committed to memory, which means you're always going to have to look off the paper. Haley? Because it's the change, and the change means you're averaging the two together. You're subtracting them. It's kind of like the distance. When you're distant, you're meeting in the middle. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So now I plug in chug, and that's going to be 4 minus 4. x2 is 6 minus a negative 2, which is x1. Do I have any minus negatives?
Yeah.
I do. What do those turn into? Plus a positive. So now I have 4 minus 4, which is? And 6 plus 2 is? 8. I want you to box this in. It is not our answer. But I want you to box that in because that is a different definition. That is our graphical definition. Since this is our graphical definition, I am immediately able to get rise over run out of that, aren't I? Yes?
Yeah.
So my rise means I'm rising 0 units, and I'm running how many?
8.
And is it positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive 0 over 8, so therefore I run which direction?
Right.
To the right 8 units. Okay? Do we understand our graphical definition? Now, what is 0 divided by 8? 0. For those of you who are not certain, think of this. 0 in the numerator is happy. 0 in the denominator is the even denominator. Okay? 0 is unhappy in the denominator. It cannot be down there. But it's allowed to be in the numerator. So it's the value of 0. Do we understand that? We're not there yet, okay? Now, I'm sorry, what were you going to say that? If you have 0 in the numerator, it's allowed to be there because 0 divided by anything is still 0. Because if I have 0 pizza left, can I give any of it away? I can't, right? I can't split up 0 pizzas to 5 friends. Does that make sense? So 0 divided by any number is still 0. It's not changing. But if 0 is in the denominator, it's the demon denominator. We cannot have 0 in the denominator. That's not allowed. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. Here's what I want you to think about. My point is right here, centered in my body. Okay? And I'm rising up 0 units. Did I move yet? And then I'm going to go 8 units which direction? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm over here. So do you see my 2 points? How many lines does it take to make a point? How many points does it take to make a line? All lines are straight, so what type of a line is this? A horizontal line. So what you're telling me is horizontal lines have a slope of what?
0.
Can you build a house on it? And it's level ground that you can put a house on, and level means 0, right? Okay? So what this means is I have a horizontal line. I have a horizontal line, and all horizontal lines have a slope equal to 0. All horizontal lines have a slope equal to 0. Now, I want you to bring up your calculator a minute. Okay, and the first thing I want you to do is make sure you have a ghost board. Remember how we did that yesterday? Everybody go to their home screen? Everybody go to their home screen, and I want you to hit the number 4. If you hit 4 and it does nothing, that means you have no documents open. If you hit 4 and something opens, that means that you currently have a file open. How do I close that file? Control W, please hit Control W. And then say no, you do not want to save the changes. And then it'll take you back to your home screen. Okay, is everybody good? Now, at this time, what I want you to do is open up a new document. So the new document will be 1, and then I want to add a calculator page. So I'm going to also hit 1. Okay? Now, I want you to get used to using these calculators, so we're going to do little calculational things with them on an everyday basis in here to get you accustomed to using them, okay? And away from the red calculator. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to type in the numerator. The numerator for this problem was 4 minus 4. So what you're going to type in is 4 minus 4, end parenthesis, which is the parenthesis right beside 0, hit division, and then what was the denominator? 6 minus negative 2. Oopsie. After the division key, hit the open parenthesis, so sorry. After the division key, hit the open parenthesis, and type in 6 minus negative 2, and hit enter. So you see it gives you the value 0. It does not give you the 8 because the calculator is actually calculating what the value of this expression is. Does that make sense? It's not asking you for what 0 divided by 8 is. It's saying that it is 0. You're welcome. Okay, so now, do we all understand how to enter that in the calculator? Next example. Next example. Step 1, what do I do? Write down. Label x1, y1, x2, y2. No, I want you to do it on the paper first. Next, what do I do? Formula. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Does it matter the order of that? Like if you do the X's on top of
It does matter. The X's have to be on the bottom. That's what Derek asked earlier. The X's have to be on the bottom.
what about like,
You can have Y1 over the X1 over first. You can have the 1's first and then the 2's, but you have to be consistent. So step 1, what is Y2? 6. Y1 is 3. X2 is -7 minus X1 -7. Do I have any minus negatives back to back? What do those turn into? Plus signs. So what is 6 minus 3?
3.
3.
0.
And then over 0. 0 happy in the denominator? 0 is bad in the denominator, right? So what is that called? It will be a vertical line, but that's not what it's called. Box this in, because this is our graphical definition.
sorry,
Somebody said it, I thought.
it's undefined.
It is undefined. That's exactly what I want you to write. It's undefined. Do not tell me no slope. Because if you write no slope on your paper, do I know that you mean that that's undefined, or do I think that you mean it's no slope, meaning it's 0, meaning you've not made 0 a number?
I remember like my freshman year, I did this little symbol, and symbol,
That's infinity, you can't. Okay, do we understand this, yes or no? Okay, now I want you to visualize this graphically. What does that mean over rise over run? Rise over run. I'm rising 3 units. In what direction am I running?
0.
Does it matter which direction? Nope, because I'm moving 0 times. So if I'm right here in the center of my body, and I move up 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and I run 0 units, what type of line am I? I'm a vertical line. Did we see that? So what this means is that all vertical lines have a slope equal to undefined. All vertical lines have a slope of undefined. Now let's see what your calculator does. What would happen in your old red calculators? It would say error, error, error. Did you know if you entered something in wrong or if it was actually an error? You never knew that, did you? So go over to your calculators now, and I want you to actually type in the problem that we have up here, which is 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3, close. Division key.
I got some more keys.
And what is your denominator? -7. Make sure you put your open parenthesis. -7 minus -7. And hit enter. What does it say now? Undefined. Does anybody think that's extremely helpful? Nobody thinks that's helpful? Okay. That's a very helpful concept, because now does your brain ever have to wonder between 0 and undefined? That's a wonderful feature to have on this calculator. Okay? Now, the next thing I want to show you is this lovely picture. I am no Picasso, okay? My drawing is horrific. My stick people are even challenged, okay? So, this is my slope picture. This picture is a very, very, very important picture. And it describes all the different types of slopes that we have. So what I want you to do is read this thing from left to right, because that's how we read in the United States, is from left to right. So here's my stick figure. As I'm looking at this mountain, what am I going to do? I'm going to go up the mountain. So what that means is any lines that look like this going up the mountain have a positive slope, because I'm going up means positive, right? Yes? So I get to the top of the mountain, and what do? I'm going to go down the mountain. So as you're looking down, anything that goes downhill has a negative slope. Do we understand that? Write it down. Everything I write, you write. When I get to the bottom of the mountain, I go in my house. We talked about this earlier. What do you build your house on? Level horizontal line has a slope of 0. You get to the edge of the cliff, and you look over the cliff. Do you know what's down there? So since you don't know what's down there, it is what? Undefined. Okay? Do we understand why I put the curve thing? He's looking over, he's not sure what's down there, so therefore it's undefined. This slope picture is 100% a very, very crucial picture for you to constantly keep in your head. On a test, I'm going to say, did you draw your slope picture? Okay? And that is going to give you a clue as to what I'm talking about, positive, negative, zero, undefined. Okay? The next thing is, let's say I give you 2 points. You can make a quick little thing on your graph, on your paper. One's here, one's there. Can you tell me if I connect those 2 lines, or those 2 dots, as a line, is this going to be a positive slope or a negative slope?
Positive.
Why is it positive? You're going uphill, right? Okay, it's the part of the mountain that we're going up the hill. So we know the slope is going to be positive. Okay? Now, how do I get my rise and run? I'm going to go to my bottom point, which is right here. Okay? And I'm going to count up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I level with my other point? Yes, so my rise right now is going to be 4 units. And then how many units am I running? 1, 2, 3, 4. I ran another 4 units. So what is 4 divided by 4?
1.
So what this means is I can go up 1 and over 1 and find another point. Up 1 and over 1 and find another point. Up 1 and over 1 and find another point. Does that make sense? That is the slope. Let's do it again. How about okay, positive or negative slope?
Negative.
Why is it negative? I'm going downhill. Do we all understand that? This has a negative slope. Okay? Now, where do I start at?
Bottom.
I start at the bottom point, and I'm going to go ahead and make it level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my rise is 10 units. Should that be negative?
No.
Why should my 10 not be negative?
On the right side.
Because I'm rising, yes? Okay? So now my run, I go from there 1, 2, 3 units. Did I go to the left or to the right? To the left, so therefore I know when I go to the left, that's the negative numbers, and it's negative 10 over 3.
Even when it's on the positive side.
Even when it's on the positive side, because I still went left and I'm going downhill, and downhill means the negative slope.
No, but you said you were going to negative.
The slope will be negative. It doesn't matter. After you understand, I think this is what you're asking.
That's just confusing.
When the negative's in the middle, okay, you can put it in the top or to the bottom. It doesn't matter. For our graphical definition, we always put it in the bottom because we're running left or right. If it doesn't really matter, I'm not going to count either one of them wrong where you put it, as long as you get that. Okay? All right. Do we understand what slope is today and how to calculate it? Did you feel like you could use the calculators a little bit and how to enter in data on it?
Yeah.
Does it make sense? All right. Tonight for homework, folks, you guys have practice A, 8 through 16.
Practice A.
You can put your calculator